Hello, hello. Today, I would like to talk about why religion is important, regardless if you believe in it. I'd like to start this off by saying that I am a atheist. I personally do not practice any type of religion. Although with that said, I do hold a great deal of respect for religious people. I can understand that even though I may not share the same views or opinions on the world around us with other people, I still hold that same level of respect for others. And I think everyone should, if possible, right? Um, so yeah, today I kind of wanted to talk about, okay, well, why am I a self-proclaimed atheist saying religion's very important, religion's very positive, it's a very impactful force on the world, and I praise those who are a member of a religion, or for better or for worse, right? So let's kind of get into it. um First off, I think a really important point is religion provides structure, community, purpose, belonging, especially in America, where outside of, the very occasional park in larger cities or neighborhoods, or things like college campuses, if you're a college student, there just really aren't a ton of second spaces at all. Um, so the only other place where you can find a sense of community is either at your job, your workplace, or in hobbies you pursue. So if you actively pursue a hobby, you probably do have a community and sense of belonging there. But for some people who don't have that, religion's a great opportunity to build community with like-minded individuals, just like any other hobby, right? But it, for a lot of people, can also provide them with a sense of purpose. I think one of my best examples I can give of this is something you often see is people who are maybe recovering drug addict, alcoholic, prison convict, or just somebody who's at a very low point in their life. Maybe somebody um, was recently in a car accident and is no longer with us, losing a parent, losing a best friend, a sibling, whatever have you may. Something that strikes true tragedy on a person to the point where they don't know if they can go on. They don't know where to go with their life. They lose a lot of the structure and a lot of the foundation for their life. And what's super neat with most major religions is they provide that structure and framework for your life. So, whether if you're in Christianity and it's like, I will go to church this time, this day, every single week, sometimes twice a week or multiple times a week, or if you have a Bible study group, or maybe you lay out your mat and, at this hour, at this time of day, every single day, this is whenever you pray to your God. And for some people, religion's a really powerful tool because it provides such a as rigid or as loose of a fundamental structure for your life as you want. And I think that's really helpful for some people. It's something that can really help turn people's lives around, especially in the case of tragedy. And especially whenever you consider, this kind of bleeds into my second point, but for the vast majority of major religions, the teachings are generally very positive. Um, I would assume my audience is probably pretty familiar with Christianity as it's one of the largest religions in the world. So think of the Ten Commandments. Things like you shall not cheat, you shall not, or what's it, you shall not steal, honor your mother and father, um, things like that that are very, I mean, these are generally positive teachings. I think especially for people who maybe have shaky moral grounds, these are, you know, your prison convicts or your very impulsive types of people. um the groundworks and constraints that religion places on you are typically positive ones that, you know, maybe at first glance, oh yeah, I shouldn't steal, that seems pretty obvious, or to treat others as I wish to be treated, love one another. Like, I think a lot of people hear things like that and they just kind of like, oh yeah, of course, you know, just kind of glaze over it. But to like really embody it, read it, and think about it at on a deeper level, that's important for some people. Some people actually do need to hear that, and some people need to embody it and really, you know, take that in. Um, so to have teachings that are generally positive, and the reason why I say generally is I'm mostly talking about like the major religions, Christianity, uh, Buddhism, Islam, and uh, excuse me for forgetting the fourth one. But what, Judaism? Yeah. So they generally have pretty positive teachings of things like fasting and um, enlightenment, trying to do things like avoid temptations, avoid unnecessary pleasures, to, you know, take the hard route in life and to become a moral savant, really. Um, and those are the general teachings of the major religions. Now, if you're telling me Scientology is your religion of choice, that's your poison of choice, maybe we've got a little bit more shaky grounds there, right? Maybe this isn't necessarily founded in the most righteous of places. Um, but point stands, right? Finally, my last major point is I think there's a lot of valuable historics to be taken away from religion. Um, Not just in America, not just in Europe, but the entire planet. For a large portion of history was grounded entirely around religion. I mean, entire states and nations were completely ruled by religion. That was the driving force for lots of things. Wars were carried out in the name of a god, or in honor of a god, for a god, or things like religious persecution, taking over another country's land and people because they had a different belief system than what this country's does. And so I think there's a lot of value to not just understand the history behind these religions, but to also understand, well, why is it that people believe these things? Why is it that this is what people believed in? I think an especially valuable example of this is like with Martin Luther. Um, where he was challenging the current ideas, or current at the time ideas of Christianity, and claiming them to be corrupt and unjust, and presenting new ideas, and even having an entirely new sect of Christianity being born from his ideas, right? And so it's not just understanding the history, it's understanding, well, why do people think like this? Why do people choose one religion over another? Especially if you are in a region where you have freedom of religion, why do people choose some over others? Do they choose a religion that has a more guaranteed sense of security or afterlife because they need that validation? Or maybe they choose one that has a much more rugged and hard path to take because they want to undergo the challenge and of self-transformation, right? And I even think things like mythology, like Greek and Roman mythology, Norse mythology, Egyptian mythology, understanding their god system, their religious system, I think not only is that valuable information, but it's very fun. Like if you've ever read some of like the Rick Riordan, Percy Jackson books or the Magnus Chase books, like are they the most grounded in history? Not really. Or like if you've played God of War, for example, is that 100% accurate to Norse mythology? No, not entirely. But man, whenever you get into it, you're like, this is pretty exciting. This is enjoyable, and you're learning. Learning is very valuable. Learning will always be valuable. With all of that said, let's play devil's advocate here for a second. I started this video by saying I'm an atheist. I've sat here and I've been talking for the past 10 minutes why I find religion to be not just important, but very positive and impactful for a lot of people, and uh, encouraged for those who need it. So why am I not a religious person then? And I think we can kind of go through these reasons one by one. I mean, for starters, community, structure, purpose, a sense of belonging in one's life. I kind of already alluded to this at the beginning, but say if you already have hobbies you're really passionate about, say you are a really big rock climber and you've got a rock climbing gym you go to, you know, Thursdays at 6 p.m. every single week, and you've got all your friends and all the same people who you always see there. You have that community, you have that purpose, you're belonging, you've got the thing you're looking towards, you have something you're working towards. Maybe there's, a specific rock wall you've yet to climb, but you know you're working towards. That's a goal you can work towards even both inside the rock gym and outside whenever you're at home doing grip strength training or body weight exercises or whatever you may, right? So for me, I don't need religion to find that community and structure. I have that already in my life. Again, I think it's really valuable for people who don't have that in their life. But if it's something you already have in your life, then something to consider, right? I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with adding an additional community to your life, right? Adding additional purpose, absolutely. But I think for some people, what they have is enough, or what excites them every day is enough. Something I want to bleed into now is the teachings. For a lot of people, religion is their moral compass. But I think you can live your life through these religious teachings and through the moral compass instilled by these religions without necessarily being religious. I don't have to believe in a Christian God to know that I shouldn't steal from others, to know that I should honor my mother and father, to know that I should be a good person and treat others as I wish to be treated. These are not foreign concepts to me. And I think for a lot of people, they are common sense. Again, there are some people who need this structure and they need this to help formulate that moral compass for them. But again, that's something I don't need. I have that already. Playing, devil's advocate here. And then the history doesn't really play a role in this. Like, as I kind of said, I am pretty fascinated with the study of religion and learning about these things. And so I actively do participate. I think something really, really important that everyone should do is if there's something you believe in or don't believe in, for that matter, you should be able to expose yourself to as many opposing ideas as possible to challenge your belief. If what you believe is really the truth, is really fundamental, core to who you are, you should challenge it as often as possible in order to, increase its validity. So with that said, as somebody who's not religious, I spend a lot of time learning about religions because I find it very interesting and because I want to challenge my current beliefs. I want to hear people, make the argument for Christianity despite not being a Christian, right? I have my own reasons for not being religious, and while I think that's outside the scope of this video, I do think it's valuable to be able to say I have a set of beliefs. And outside of religion too, like say I am a strong Republican. Okay, challenge your beliefs. Listen to what large uh, Democratic candidates or people in office are preaching or want for bills or are looking for an upcoming election, and challenge your beliefs or say you feel really strongly that um I don't know, that the amount of protein that you eat enough protein to gain muscle. You don't need more protein. Challenge that belief. Go talk to somebody who knows more than you. Talk to a nutritionist. Do some research. Um, you can still feel confident in your belief, but if you can continue to validate your own ideas through the process of null hypothesis, then you've done you're doing more than most. You're doing far more than most. Um, so to kind of wrap this up, I believe religion is extremely important, regardless of what religion you may believe in, if you believe in a religion. Um, yeah, you know, whether you be an atheist, Christian, uh, number one supporter of the flying spaghetti monster, whatever have you may, I respect you all the same. Yeah, I think that covers it for today. If you enjoyed this topic, leave a like, subscribe. Um, I do a lot of videos just kind of talking about really whatever. Leave a comment if you have something in particular you would like me to talk about. I'm very open and interested in talking about just about anything within reason. So please, I'd love to hear your suggestions. And I also have a Twitch, so go follow me at Twitch. It's in the description. Um, yeah, I'll see you around. Thanks.